During my heat, I cried and begged Preston to mark me, but with his new fling in his arms, he sneered and kicked my tail with open disgust. I'm not into fish, get lost. That night, Preston's sworn enemy found me and took me home. His eyes were dark and unreadable as he toyed with my tail, a low laugh rumbling from his chest. Such a beautiful tail, can I mark you? A month later, Preston pulled every string he had to track me down. The moment he caught the scent of pheromones that didn't belong to him, he completely lost it. You cheated on me, didn't you? Tell me, who's the bastard that marked you? Oscar wrapped me possessively in his arms and gave Preston a mocking smile. The bastard's me, but I'm tired of being just some bastard on the side. I think I'd rather move up in the world. 1. When Preston's new fling came knocking, it happened to be during my heat. Mermaids in heat are hypersensitive to scents and sounds. Even through several walls, I could hear them crystal clear. I hid under my blanket, covering my head, trying to block it all out, but my legs started aching uncontrollably, biting back the pain. I did what I always did, pulled open the drawer to grab an inhibitor shot. Only this time, the drawer was completely empty. I tore the room apart, searching desperately, but it was no use. By the time I realized what I was doing, I had dragged my aching body all the way to Preston's door. The door wasn't fully closed. Through the crack, I saw him. His back was rigid, the muscles sharply defined under his skin. I clenched my palms as I stared silently. Maybe my gaze was too strong. Preston turned his head and saw me almost immediately. His face went cold in an instant, and with an impatient click of his tongue, he shot me a look full of disgust. What are you doing here? Can't you see I'm busy? I curled my fingers against my thigh and forced my hoarse voice out. Have you seen my inhibitor shots? Before Preston could answer, the Omega on his bed jumped up, glaring at me in anger. Are you insane? Can't you see we're busy? Get the hell out. I ignored him, staring only at Preston, repeating in a daze. Have you seen my inhibitors? Haven't seen them. Preston ground out, climbing off the bed. He threw on a robe and strode toward me, but 2 steps away, he suddenly froze, eyes dropping to my legs. Then his expression twisted in disgust. He took a step back. Quentin, how many times have I told you not to flaunt that pathetic fishtail around the house? Just looking at it makes me want to puke. I'd heard this 1,000 times, but somehow, hearing it again still made my chest ache. I stared blankly at my pink, scale-covered tail, and collapsed with a thud. Tears flooded my eyes instantly. The blonde Omega let out an exaggerated shriek, clutching at Preston. What is that? A monster? Honey, I'm scared. The fever burning through me left no room for thought. I crawled on the floor, breathing in the faint traces of Preston's scent like an addict, dragging myself toward him inch by inch. I feel awful. Please, please mark me. Preston looked down at me from above, comforting the Omega in his arms with false gentleness. Then he lifted his foot and slammed it into my tail, sneering coldly. I told you, I'm not into fish. Get lost. 2. I didn't really blame Preston for not loving me. Differentiation usually happens between 16 and 18. I married Preston at 19, and didn't start differentiation until I was 20. But unfortunately, I failed. I didn't become an alpha, nor was I the Omega Preston wanted. It felt like the world had rejected me. I had intact glands but couldn't smell any pheromones besides my mates. Technically a beta, yet I experienced an Omega's heat and could be permanently marked by an alpha. For a full week, I burned with high fever, and slowly, pink scales grew across my body. Eventually, hiding my legs under the blanket, I fully transformed into a fishtail in front of Preston's horrified eyes. He fainted on the spot. The research institute said I wasn't a mutation, that one of my parents must have come from the sea, a merperson. Only fresh blood from them could permanently turn my tail back into legs. Only then could I complete differentiation. But I'd been abandoned in an orphanage since birth, and adopted by Preston's father at 10. That method was obviously impossible. Later, they developed a special inhibitor for me, but it required Preston's cooperation. On the day of the blood draw, Preston struggled violently. Several nurses couldn't hold him down. His father had to inject him with a sedative personally. In a daze, Preston muttered, I won't marry a monster. I won't give blood to a monster. Quentin, go die. His father looked at me apologetically. Quentin, don't take it personally. Preston just can't accept it yet. He'll come around with time. I believed him. But after that, Preston seemed like a completely different person. He never looked at me properly, stayed out all night, and wouldn't touch or mark me even during my fertile period. He even repeatedly brought his bed partners home in front of me, and in my and his marital bed, he bedded them. The blonde boy he brought home today, Nolan, had been with him for 3 months, the longest-running partner so far. I felt like a guest in my own house, fully aware that Preston didn't love me, so I thought as long as he gave me a place to stay, that was enough. But Nolan clearly didn't agree. While Preston was in the shower, Nolan casually pulled an inhibitor box from under the bed, smirking at me. Preston told me you're a merperson. I didn't believe him. Now I do. Sorry, I just wanted to see a merperson up close, so I hid your inhibitors. I weakly lifted my head. The next second, he held a syringe, grinning, then smashed it to the floor with force. Crack! The glass tube shattered instantly. The familiar scent spread through my nose. Then the second, third, fourth. I wanted to stop him, but I couldn't even breathe properly. Days without water and medication left me too weak to lift a hand. All I could do was watch helplessly as he destroyed one after another. Just before I fainted, Nolan suddenly crouched in front of me. He held a syringe, pressed my arm down with a look of disgust, and slapped my face in humiliation. One last one. Want it? I wanted to say no, but my body's instincts screamed that without it, I might actually die. So, I nodded, completely devoid of dignity. Yeah, I want it. Nolan sneered with contempt. You can have it, but only if you divorce Preston. And tonight, you're out of this villa. 3. I left in a rush. The receptionist frowned when I dug through my pockets for my ID and came up empty. No ID, no check-in. I pressed my lips together. Can I just give you the ID number? No, she said coldly. As she turned to walk away, a male voice called out, Quentin, it's really you. Marcus' eyes lit up, and he walked over with a grin, casually draping an arm over my shoulder. Where's Preston? Why isn't he here? I subtly stepped back, creating distance. Preston will be here soon. I need to go first. Marcus scoffed. Sure, Preston just posted on social media that he's with Nolan. He's got no time for you. He leaned closer again, hands wandering toward my waist. Preston really is something, ignoring a beauty like you to chase after some random guy. You'd have been better off with me. The smell of alcohol lingered at my ear, making my stomach churn. Marcus was Preston's college classmate. Before I differentiated, Preston had brought me to meet him a few times. I never liked Marcus. Once, while Preston was in the bathroom, he tried to touch me. Preston caught him, and they nearly came to blows. After I became a merperson, they reconnected. Preston, conscious of his image, didn't want people to know he married a monster, so he told everyone he'd grown tired of me and wanted some fun. Seeing me stay silent, Marcus assumed I consented. He became bolder. I tried to push him away, but my fingers went weak, completely useless. Marcus thought I was flirting and, without a word, dragged me down the stairs. I stumbled into a private room, only to realize I recognized everyone inside, without exception. All of Preston's rowdy friends. The air was stifling. My breathing grew rapid, my body's abnormality clear. I suddenly remembered the inhibitor Nolan had injected me with. So, he added something else to it. Panic gripped me. I scrambled to my feet and ran toward the door. Marcus was quick, grabbing me and slamming me onto the sofa. Trying to run, too late. A cigarette hung from his mouth as he released his pheromones. My heart skipped a beat. Mermaids can't smell anything besides their mate, but alpha pheromones still overwhelm us. I trembled, kicking backward, but it was useless. The teasing voices in my ear threatened to swallow me whole. I've wanted to meet this little brat for a long time. If Preston finds out, will he skin you alive? He dare. Nolan was my introduction. Fair's fair. 4. I bit my lower lip, letting my nails dig into my palms. Marcus was just a step away when I summoned the last of my strength. I shot up, grabbed a beer bottle from the side, and smashed it onto the table with all my might. Without hesitation, I pressed the sharp glass edge against my throat. Come on, if you're not afraid of killing someone, then try me. Marcus froze mid-step, clearly not expecting me to resist with my life, but when he saw my trembling hand, he relaxed slightly. Yeah, stick it in your neck so we can watch. Go ahead, the stage is yours. At that moment, the door swung open. I froze, blinking in surprise. Long legs filled my line of sight. Moving upward, I saw Oscar in a sharp suit, backlit, his expression icy as he appeared in the doorway. He casually scanned the room, then smirked at Marcus, twirled his fingers, and suddenly applauded. Got a show, count me in. Marcus' face went pale, mouth hanging open. What? How did you get here? Oscar was an S-class alpha, the highest ranking among everyone present. Before I had differentiated, Preston and Marcus often used their alpha status to interfere with me. I didn't expect Oscar to feel any pity for his enemy's partner, yet my body's discomfort made me unconsciously inch closer to him. Help me, I whispered. He ignored me, closing the door with a swing. With wild ease, he loosened his tie and scanned the room again. At the same time, a fresh, cool scent of seawater suddenly filled the room. Not fishy, surprisingly pleasant. Before I could react, Marcus and the others collapsed, writhing in pain as if attacked. Oscar watched them coldly, clicking his tongue. Haven't you left yet? The door clicked shut again, and Oscar turned to me. You okay to move? He asked. It finally clicked. This seawater scent was his pheromones. To my astonishment, I could smell him. Not only that, instead of being overwhelmed, I felt clearer, sharper. I tried to step forward, but my legs were still weak. Sharp stings ran up my calves. I froze, following Oscar's gaze to my ankles. I saw it. My once pale skin was now layered with scales. Without hesitation, I bent down to cover my ankles. My uncle had warned me never to reveal my merperson identity to avoid social panic or trouble. Oscar, however, seemed unafraid. He knelt calmly before me and, with deliberate ease, pulled 2 silk scarves from his pocket. He gently tied them around my ankles in neat bows, his movements practiced, like he had done this countless times. I shrank back, unable to stop myself from asking, "You're not afraid?" Oscar raised an eyebrow but didn't answer. After a long pause, he narrowed his eyes slightly and let out a meaningful, soft laugh. In a daze, I felt his deep, husky voice whisper close to my ear, "Want to come home with me?" I bit my lip and instinctively recoiled. Oscar, however, stepped forward at the right moment. The next second, my body was lifted into the air. He carried me effortlessly toward the door. "Silence means consent," he said. Maybe it was the strength of the drug, or the sheer width of his chest, but I felt a sudden wave of security. I didn't resist. His steady, powerful heartbeat pressed against me through the thin fabric. I leaned against his shoulder, but then realized something was wrong. With a sudden tear of fabric, I screamed, "Oscar, my tail!" 5. I woke again in a bathtub. My pink tail flailed on the surface as if it had a mind of its own. I looked around and saw my savior, Oscar, showering calmly. "Awake?" he asked lazily, lifting his eyelids. He applied shower gel and then asked calmly, "How do you feel?" "Okay." I nodded seriously. His back stiffened suddenly, ears turning red. The air grew silent. I realized too late that something was wrong. Touching my own face, it was burning hot. Not, "Am I about to die right now?" Panicking, Oscar coughed and turned, hesitating before asking, "And you, do you like it?" "I don't know," I admitted honestly, "but my body feels so hot." It was unbearably hot. The maddening burn returned. I weakly traced my tail, murmuring to myself, "Oscar, I really like your pheromones. Smelling them, it feels like I'm back in the sea. Your scent smells like home. Can I smell it again?" Oscar said neither yes nor no. He wrapped a towel around himself and walked toward me. "Close your eyes," he ordered firmly. I stared, bewildered, but couldn't resist reaching out to trace his features. "Can I keep my eyes open?" I asked. His long lashes brushed my fingers. I lowered my gaze and asked again, "Why aren't you afraid of me? Why did you save me?" He inhaled sharply and grabbed my hand. "Do you know what you're doing?" "I do," I answered. His eyes darkened as he gritted his teeth. "That's good." In a brief pause, I heard his hoarse, low voice. "Beautiful, Quentin, your tail is beautiful. Can I mark you?" I didn't speak. I turned my head, guiding his hand to me, exposing my vulnerable glands. That cool, salty seawater scent enveloped me once again. 6. The next day, I woke up aching all over. I looked around, completely unfamiliar surroundings. Unlike Preston's flashy taste, Oscar's bedroom was understated, painted in muted shades of gray and white, clashing slightly with the calm decor. A painting hung on the wall opposite his bed. It depicted 2 mere people. The one on the left had a dark tail, the one on the right a pink tail. The sun was setting, casting golden light over them as they leaned against beach rocks, looking at each other like lovers, eyes filled with affection. Their tails were entwined below, black and pink mingling, radiating a strong sense of intimacy. My face flushed. I threw off the covers, instinctively reaching for my tail, but there were only 2 smooth legs beneath the blanket. At that moment, the bedroom door opened. Oscar stood there in a loose home tee, his toned forearms visible. Several buttons undone at his chest revealed a hint of solid, muscular pecs. He tapped the door lightly, his peach blossom-shaped eyes curving in a soft smile. "Hungry? Come eat." I wrapped myself in the blanket, glaring at him in a mix of shame and anger. "Where are you looking?" He only smiled wider. "You tell me." At the dining table, I chewed angrily. my eyes rolling toward the ceiling. You little pervert, I muttered. Oscar calmly served me food, raising an eyebrow, then suddenly asked, "When are you getting divorced?" I gasped and almost spat out my mouthful. What? Divorce? Yes. When are you divorcing Preston? His expression remained calm as he brushed rice off his chest and stared at me intently. Don't tell me, after I mark you, you still plan to go back to him? Quentin, I don't want to be the other man. That's impossible. I stood abruptly. Even without you, I was planning to divorce him anyway. So, when then? He pressed further. I awkwardly averted my gaze and tried to change the subject. It's kind of chilly. I'll close the window. In midsummer, chill my foot. Oscar snapped coldly from behind, raising his tone. Come back. Even though I was officially an outsider, having just been marked by an S-class alpha left me dependent and slightly intimidated. So, I obediently settled onto his lap. I will divorce Preston, but not yet. The large hand on my waist tightened suddenly. Oscar clenched his teeth and demanded, "Why?" Aside from Preston, my uncle had always treated me well. The vice director of the research institute had repeatedly hinted that I should cooperate in merperson experiments, promising that my uncle would be promoted if I agreed. My uncle had flatly refused. So, ethically, I needed to inform him before divorcing Preston. Oscar frowned but didn't say more. I suddenly thought of the painting on his wall and asked curiously, "Who painted the one in your room?" I did. He pinched my leg, drawing me closer. Pretty. Ha! It was. But could there really be a merperson with a dark tale in this world? 7. I wasn't sure about dark tales yet, but I knew some Omegas had truly nasty hearts. Like Nolan. I hadn't planned to attend the charity gala, but Oscar, worried I'd stay cooped up at home and get into trouble, insisted I go with him. The guests were wealthy and influential, including many of Preston's friends. Seeing me with Oscar, they looked puzzled but stayed silent. Midway through, while Oscar stepped away to take a call, I wandered into the back garden to get some air. Unexpectedly, I ran into Nolan. I turned to leave immediately, but Nolan blocked my path, striding aggressively. "I've been waiting for you." "What? Climbing high and forgetting old friends?" I furrowed my brow, correcting him seriously. "Strictly speaking, you're just one of Preston's bed partners. You and I barely know each other. Old friends doesn't apply, does it?" "You?" Nolan's eyes reddened. "Did you force Preston to break up with me?" I rolled my eyes. "You got kicked out of Preston's bed because you weren't good enough. What does that have to do with me?" "Not your business." "Then whose is it?" Nolan wailed. It turned out Nolan had been kicked out by Preston 3 days after I left. Initially, he thought Preston had a new lover, but Preston hadn't been anywhere near any entertainment venues and had cut ties with previous Omegas. Nolan believed I had meddled, went to confront Preston, and got beaten badly, stripped, and thrown into the street. Later, he learned from friends that Preston was searching for me and claimed he wanted to return home to start a family with me. So Nolan assumed I was behind it. "You're with Oscar, yet you still string Preston along. Shameless." He spat, forgetting he was the real interloper. I had no interest in arguing, lifting my leg to leave, but he persisted. I finally looked at him coldly. "Whether I'm with Oscar or Preston is my choice. None of your business. You need to understand your place. You're just a cheap man sleeping with someone for money. The one who destroys families, and the benefactor you pride yourself on. He's already kicked you out, so what right do you have to call me shameless?" Nolan's face turned dark purple. I continued, sizing him up with a mocking smile. "Also, getting kicked out by a benefactor is normal in your line of work. Even celestial beauties get tiresome eventually. Honestly, your body is average. Your looks are average. Your manners aren't great, and yet you managed to last this long in Preston's circle. Be grateful." Before I finished, Nolan lunged at me, face twisted. "I'll kill you." I dodged easily, smiling slightly, then clenched my teeth and swung my arm hard, striking his abdomen. 8. With a dull thud, Nolan hit the ground. Then came a wet splatter as he vomited blood, clutching his stomach. The bright red pooled across the cement floor, resembling, disturbingly, a crime scene. I stared at my fist in disbelief. "Damn it," I muttered. Where had all that strength, or rather, mere strength, come from? At that moment, Oscar appeared behind me. His expression was icy. He gestured to his bodyguards to throw Nolan out, then grasped my hand, slightly annoyed. "Does it hurt? Why did you even fight that kind of person? Next time, leave it to me. Don't dirty your hands." That night, Oscar kept asking over and over, "Wife, can you transform into a merperson? Just once, please." Shut up." I bit my lip. "You pervert. You're insane. Oscar exhaled lowly, admitting without hesitation, I am. So, from now on, your hands aren't allowed to touch other men, or I really will do what I say. The next day at 10, I climbed out of bed. Oscar was working in the study, the door half open. Seeing my miserable state, he couldn't help but snicker. I glared at him, slammed the door, cutting off his view completely. 3 seconds later, I sighed. Well, with a face like his, there was no way I could stay mad for long. Just as I was heading to brush my teeth, someone knocked. When I opened the door, a hand suddenly reached in and yanked me outside. I snapped awake. Struggling was useless, so I tried to call out. The man spoke first. Wife, it's me. I've been looking for you a whole month. Finally found you. Before I could react, Preston began inspecting me, spinning around to check for injuries. Seeing I was unharmed, relief was obvious in his eyes. A month apart had worn him down. Preston, usually meticulous about his appearance, now had hollow eyes, stubble, and wrinkled clothes. I almost didn't recognize him. I stepped back cautiously, asking, how did you find me here? Oscar owned many properties, but the one I was in was the highly private marital home left to him by his mother. I didn't think Preston could have tracked me this precisely. As we hesitated, he smiled sheepishly, eyes flickering. Sorry, wife, I installed a tracker on your phone. If you hadn't turned it on today, I might never have found you in my life. I shivered. Are you insane? Installing a tracker without permission is a crime. I know, but, then Preston fell silent. He sniffled, eyes turning bloodshot. Suddenly, he shoved me against the wall, shouting hoarsely, Quentin, what is that scent on you? You cheated, didn't you? Tell me who marked you. Before I could react, a heavy punch hit near my ear. Oscar appeared out of nowhere, kicking Preston across the ground. Preston rolled twice like a dead dog, curling up into a ball, landing on his back with blood streaming from his nose. 9. I quickly held Oscar, who was about to move forward, cupping his face and soothing him. It's okay. Oscar was about to enter his sensitive period. Any emotional spike could be dangerous. If he got hit again, someone could really get hurt. Preston didn't see it that way. He and Oscar had always been at odds. Seeing me leaning on Oscar, he scrambled up and approached with clenched fists. But before he could reach him, he collapsed again. The scent of seawater spread violently, rushing toward Preston. Preston writhed on the ground, sweat dripping from his forehead. Oscar continued releasing his pheromones relentlessly. I froze, unsure what to do, then tiptoed forward and grabbed his collar, pressing a kiss to his lips. Gradually, his breathing steadied. I just wanted to calm him, guiding him back inside. He paused suddenly, pulling me into his arms, his expression composed but teasing as he looked at Preston. See clearly now, the wild man you were talking about is me, but I'm tired of being the wild man. I want the top spot now. He carried me inside. When Oscar's sensitive period ended, my uncle called. I returned home after many days, but everything had changed. Upon learning about Oscar, my uncle merely waved his hand. Young people, it happens sometimes. These things aren't important. He continued seriously, but Quentin, you can play around, but eventually, you must return home. Preston is behaving now, no more drinking or bringing people home. He's even talking about trying to have children with you soon. Uncle, sorry. I curled my fingers, interrupting him. I've already told Preston I want a divorce. I came today to tell you in person. The room went silent. After a long pause, my uncle sipped his tea, a little displeased. Just because Preston is indecisive, you want a divorce? But Quentin, alphas are different from someone like you. Their position invites attention and admiration from other omegas. Seeing me silent, his expression softened slightly. People make mistakes. You also found someone new behind Preston's back, so it balances out. I know Preston has been terrible, but if it weren't for you disappointing his expectations, he wouldn't have become what he is now. Quentin, you know your father has always stood by you. I took you in when you were 10, treated you like my own. Stop sulking, come live here again. I listened quietly to his grandiose words. Inside, my emotions roared like a storm. I couldn't articulate it. All I knew was that my heart ached and breathing felt hard. I had once begged my uncle to take me to the institute, willing to be studied, just to avoid Preston's hatred. I was ready to become an Omega, even the most ordinary beta, even if it meant losing my tail. 10. But my uncle refused. I thought it was out of concern for me, until one day I overheard a conversation between him and the institute's vice director. He said, wait a little longer, wait 3 more years. Alpha merfolk and Omega merfolk are extremely rare worldwide, with immense research value, and since your first differentiation failed, there might be a next one. If that fails too, research can be conducted then. It's not too late. I had been abandoned in an orphanage as a newborn, spending 10 years hungry and cold. At 10, I was adopted, and any small acts of love or kindness from them were magnified in my mind to an unhealthy degree. I had never truly experienced family companionship or care, so even though I knew the truth behind the warmth, I recklessly chose to fly toward the fire. I hid myself in woven dreams, enduring cold nights one after another. But now, I only wanted to ask, if your son Preston were an Omega, and his Alpha husband did exactly what the current Alpha Preston is doing, what would you do? Would you still expect him to endure and forgive endlessly like I did? My uncle's face turned red with anger. This is completely incomparable. You're a merperson, lower than even the lowest beta. You should consider yourself lucky that Preston is willing to stay with you at all. What right do you have to demand chastity from him? I stood up, glancing coldly at Preston, who had been eavesdropping at the staircase, then casually shifted my gaze and said firmly, whether beta or me, as long as we exist in this world, I think we all have the right and hope to survive. As for Preston, since you say he has the privilege to indulge, then naturally I have the right to request a divorce. Have him sign the divorce papers, I said, turning to leave. At the door, I suddenly remembered Oscar's instructions. Oh, and all the money you spent on me over the years, I've cashed it out and transferred it to your bank account. The money had, of course, come from Oscar, a full 10 million, transferred in a blink. Don't ask, it hurt my heart and my wallet. As I pushed the door, Preston suddenly ran toward me from the staircase, backlit by the sunset. His shadow stretched long, he looked thinner, his face pale and sickly, likely after effects of Oscar's pheromones suppressing him. I looked at him coldly and reminded him, remember to sign. Preston's eyes reddened instantly, and for a moment, he looked like a small dog abandoned by its owner. Wife, can we not divorce? I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Tears streamed down his face as he choked out a plea. I'll never despise your tale again. I promise. No matter what you become in the future, I won't despise you. I'll treat you well. A lifetime. Excuse me for interrupting. Oscar's voice called impatiently from the doorway. He swung his car keys lazily. Quentin's real husband is here. Who do you think you are? Planning to treat someone else's wife well for a lifetime? The nerve. Don't you fear divine retribution? Word of advice. Be careful when you go out. Might get struck by lightning one day. 11. On the way to the airport, Oscar's excitement made his backside twitch incessantly. So good, so unbelievably good. You should have seen Preston's expression when you turned around, unimaginable. Like he'd just eaten a pile of, well, 100 piles of, make it 100 more, so he can eat his fill at once. I chimed in, pausing to glance at his rear. Did you get hemorrhoids? No way. Oscar straightened instantly, frozen in place. Merfolk shouldn't get hemorrhoids, right? I stifled a laugh, playing along. Probably. The painting in Oscar's bedroom depicted him as the merperson with the dark tail, and me as the one with the pink tail. Merfolk can sense each other through scent. I had always thought I had no pheromones, but Oscar told me I did. He was the only one who could detect them. He had sensed me even before my first differentiation at 18. I, however, remained oblivious, following Preston blindly. Oscar had no chance to act until that night Marcus took me to the private room. Originally, he planned to wait until the honeymoon to reveal the truth, as a surprise, but on his sensitive day, excitement got the better of him. We were in the bathtub, and suddenly his legs transformed into a mertail. The dark, shimmering tail thrashed wildly across the water. Interrupted, I groaned, struggling to open my eyes, and the tail whipped across my face, nearly knocking me out. The surprise had turned into a shock. Our destination was a coastal city. By the time we were about to arrive, I was so excited I could barely keep my tail hidden. Oscar remained calm, teasing me about being the only merperson who had never seen the ocean. As soon as we landed, he didn't say a word. He hugged me tightly. Finally, I can show you the ocean from the painting. And that reef, I used to sit right there, imagining you beside me. My chest trembled, swayed by his words. I blurted out, you've never done it with a merperson. And I haven't either. So tonight, want to try? Oscar's eyes widened in disbelief, his ears turning red. Yes, 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 wife. You're amazing, the best wife in the world. I smiled at him. The missing piece of my heart seemed to fill. Slowly but surely, I said softly, Oscar, congratulations. Dreams really do come true.